Better?
That's perfect.
Got you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hunt, Lift, Eat podcast, brought to you by Hunt, Lift, Eat Official. I'm Carter, back again with my bearded co-host, Perry. What's up, dude?
Yeah, not much, man. Friday is here.
Playing hooky from work to talk to these fine gentlemen today?
Trying to. I was delayed in hopping on here because work won't leave me alone. So I'd much rather be talking with these guys.
The dreaded J.O.B.
The J.O.B. Yeah, let's introduce our esteemed guests this week. We got the Elk Bros, a couple of the Elk Bros joining us for this episode. We got Joe Jillia, and we got Gilbert, Big O, the man himself.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, guys?
You know, I'm
I
impressed.
tell you, like my
Somebody did
grandpa
their
said, if I was
homework.
doing any better, I'd be wearing my brother's pants.
Yeah, super fortunate to be able to sit down with you guys and have you on here and
Oh, man.
pick your
I'm
brains a
honored.
little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
All right, there's only so
Perry and
much
I-
to pick in there, dude. So just understand that, all right?
If you're talking about elk hunting, we can be on here a long time, brother. But
Yeah.
you talk about other things, we can be on here a real long time, man. So, yeah. Be careful what you wish for, Brother Carter.
My man, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
We got connected with you guys through a couple mutual friends of yours, and Joe. And I was told very quickly to reach out to you and have a conversation with you, man. Mutual friends Chad Riker and Armando over at Bow Hitch.
Yeah.
Our boy.
Yeah. You have,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. You stay with some rough company. That's all I got.
Yeah, you keep some. You say that and duck. Whoop. Yeah. No, I love Mondo and
Chad-
them boys, man. They're great people, man.
And
Great
Chad,
people.
Chad's
Also
just
from-
top of the line. Chad's top of the line.
Yeah,
But
Chad
you know, I
Riker,
think
yep.
they did this because I owe them both money, and that's the only reason they're just after me. That's what it is. So.
Holding you accountable, man. That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Armando, he's such a good dude, man. He was like, you want to have a good conversation? We got off the podcast, and not to pump anybody's tires, but he was like, that was an awesome conversation. I was like, dude, that was the most fun I've had on a podcast in a long time. Kudos to him. Just, he's so easy to talk to and
Oh,
just like
absolutely.
good
Yeah.
vibes and positivity. He's just such a good time, man. And he's like, no, reach out to Joe, man. Get him on. I was like, I'm on it. Perry, as soon as I messaged Joe, he said, oh boy, you keep rough company, man, if they're reaching out to you.
Yeah. Now I feel the pressure. Now I feel pressured, man. I'm a, so
And y'all forgive me, man. I kind of lead these, for Joe. And so I'll ask a lot of questions. Perry, are you from Georgia as well?
No, sir. I'm actually from North Carolina and mountains
Okay.
of North Carolina and Southwest Virginia. So
Yeah. Awesome.
so
Appalachia, all the same.
near Cherokee area or where?
Right on the line, kind of between North Carolina and Virginia. So right on the
Okay.
northwestern corner of North Carolina.
One of
Yep.
the most beautiful college campuses I ever toured in my life is in Boone, North Carolina, and
Yes,
at
sir.
Appalachia State, brother. And my daughter
Yep.
was being recruited to play softball there, and she goes, "Daddy, it's 19 hours from home." And she goes, "But it is absolutely breathtaking here,
Yeah.
And it is. The mountains are just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I grew up an hour from Boone, and Boone makes where I grew up. Boone makes it seem, Boone is very urban compared to where I grew up. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I grew up in the middle of absolute nowhere. So yeah, that's my neck of the woods, man.
Cool,
Nothing
brother.
like y'all's mountains, but yeah, I'm a
The
mountain,
hollers are
mountain boy at
hollers,
heart.
man, no matter what.
That's the truth, man.
Yep.
That's the truth. Yeah, so Perry and I hunt together a lot in Appalachia, and we've chased antelope together for the first time in Wyoming this past year. And admittedly, we're not elk experts.
No,
I've been elk hunting once. I had my first elk hunt this past November. I wanted to go before my 30th birthday. That was a goal. And, man, we just got our asses kicked. It was the hardest thing I've ever done.
So,
And,
so what time
we're
in November? What time of
dipping our
year in
toe.
November? And was this in Colorado or where?
Yes, sir. It was, sorry. Yes, Joe. It was fourth season Colorado tag, hunted on the western slope. And it was tough, man. A blizzard every day, and we were at 10,000 feet, and coming from sea level,
Flat
man,
land,
it
yeah.
was It really gave me
Ain't no
a
air up
schrack.
there, is there, Carter? They sucked it all
No.
up, man. The animals
They
or
got-
somebody
they got
took all
nothing.
the air up there, man.
And took all the elk too, man. Ain't no elk there.
It can sure feel that way. Of course, if you had snow, man, you really know if they're there or not, because it's so much easier to track them and see,
Yep.
how far behind them you are. Joe and
Yeah,
I
and
had
it's-
an experience. Joe's probably hunted in the snow way more than I have, but, normally I'm an archery hunter for elk, and now I'm, a guide up there in New Mexico. So I got to hunt a little bit, but not in the snow yet. But in 2019, he and I hunted together and woke up one morning. We got the tent falling in on us. We got 6 inches of snow on us. September the 6th.
September.
Right.
Oh.
And, yeah,
my God.
September 6th, brother. I mean, I wake up to this commotion going on, like beating around in the tent. And I'm like, damn, is that a bear? And I get up and it's Joe. He's like, bro, get up. He goes, the whole tent is collapsing. I said, well, what is wrong, Joe? What have you done? He said, it ain't me, bro. It's the snow.
Hey,
Man,
he didn't
dude,
move.
I'm
He didn't
telling
even
you,
get out of his
it wa-
blanket, dude.
Heck no, it had about this much showing, man. You know what I mean? I'm like, fellas, it was crazy. But the whole week we'd been there prior, we hadn't seen many elk, and we'd heard a few, this, that, and the other. But man, when we got out that morning to go hunting, I had never seen the amount of sign. But you can visibly see it. You can see their tracks, their urine marks. When they defecate a perfect little hole in the snow, you can tell that's fresh. You know what I mean? Just burned a hole right through the snow. So it was fun to cut a track and get after them. And we actually caught up to them. So it was pretty cool. But, man, I feel your pain at 10,000 feet and, sub-teen temperatures is brutal.
The hardest part about that is the travel part. Like, just getting in and out of places, it becomes restrictive and limiting, especially you get up there in those blizzards and you're up at high 10 and you're on forest roads and you just can't get up, you can't get down, so you get locked into an area. And once you get locked in, if that area doesn't have them, then yeah, you get your butt whipped, man. It's just one of those deals.
Yeah.
Or you're having to plow through on the legs and it becomes a glassing game and it's friggin' frigid. I mean, it definitely has a huge challenges anytime you're in sub-zero or just above zero and you're having to deal with deep snow or anything like that. And it can get friggin' dangerous and, it becomes a safety factor too, Yeah, real fast.
Yeah, there were a couple moments like that where I'm scared of heights. It's the only thing that bothers me in the world. And being up
You
there,
and me
that
both.
western slope of Colorado, man, there's some rough precipices. And even driving on the roads, I was nervous. I was out of my element for sure,
for
right? Because
sure.
I don't know how to drive on snow or ice or anything like that. So that added another factor as well. We saw elk. They finally came down when the blizzard started. They got pushed down to our elevation, and we did our darndest to get into them, man. But of course, they came down the last evening, before the hunt was over, and we just run out of time, But
What made you
I was
pick
totally
that area?
hooked, man.
What made you pick that area on the western slope?
There were 5 of us who went from Hunt Lift Eat, and Luke, the owner, had established a relationship with an outfitter out there,
Gotcha.
just kind of near Crested Butte area. And he invited us out there, and we got to stay in the camp. We didn't get to hunt any of his private, but we got access to
that's
the
helpful.
public
Yeah.
through the camp there.
big
So that was a
time.
huge advantage. And we got to sleep in 4 walls with a heater, that was big for me for my first trip.
Yeah.
That's
Done
huge,
plenty of
man.
tent camping, and that gets
Yeah.
old quick, So that was nice, especially when you're flying as a non-resident.
Yeah.
One less thing to worry about.
Right.
Y'all were
So
rifle
it was a good
hunting, correct? Y'all were
Yes,
rifle
sir.
hunting?
Yeah. Rifle hunting, and so it was a great entry level elk hunt, I think.
Yeah.
As you guys know, there's so many variables and so many elk are going to do what the elk want to do,
Yeah.
So if
They're
you
where
can,
they are.
if you can accommodate or head off some of those unknowns, that's wildly helpful. So that's how we ended up there, and now I'm totally hooked, and I need to get my first one on the ground ASAP.
So is
You
rifle
can
the
do
thing that
it.
you want to stick with? Are you looking to be doing any archery hunting, or what are you looking at?
Yeah, Perry and I talk about this a lot. I'm still new-ish. I guess I've got a couple trips under my belt now, but I would like to get an elk down with a rifle first before I start carrying a bow, um, with flying and non-resident and on a teacher's salary, as you know, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Um,
expensive.
I want to put as many odds in my favor and raise my chances of success as high as possible. So um, I'm more comfortable with the rifle at this point in life. So I'd like to get one under my belt there before I start chasing them with a bow.
Yeah.
Do you guys primarily archery hunt or use all sorts of firearms, or
So
what's your
personally,
experience with?
so and I'll tell you, because you're going to hear Gil say this, man. And this guy's an archery hunter when it comes to elk. I mean, that's what he is. But he always says, archery's for hunting and guns are for killing. So he's always
Fact.
There
telling
you
me
go.
that, right?
Fact.
But
I feel
but I can tell you this. I think both of them bring their difficulties, and both of
Oh,
them
yeah.
bring a different experience. I don't even own a big game rifle. This will be my 42nd season hunting elk, but I've got
Wow.
almost 30 years of guiding under my belt. So I hunt from archery all the way through till, man, sometimes we don't finish till the end of January, right? And you start getting a cow elk. So that's the great thing is I have both aspects that I do. I have one that I prefer
Yeah.
to do personally, and then I have as a professional what I do with other people. So I get to see all of it. And I tell you, I mean, if people think it's easier with the smoke pole, I don't think it's necessarily easier. I think it's a different type of challenge. I think the great thing for me is and depending on the time of year that you go with that smoke pole, I actually think when you have them early rifle hunts when those animals are screaming, I think that's kind of cheating myself because they're like, here I am. But once they split off, once those bulls split off and they start diving into holes, and then you have winter that comes
And they
in,
get
you got
quiet.
snow that comes in. Yeah. Oh man, and you can find a lot of track and go find a whole herd of cows and some spikes and stuff like that. But
Raghorns,
a
yeah.
lot of times those big guys are split off from them, and you got to look in a whole different place, right? So
Yep.
Right.
it definitely has two different challenges. But I think archery minded. I coach archery minded because I think a lot of that aspect can go into both. Until you get into that late season, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
carrying a rifle gave me zero advantage on this last hunt. I no advantage whatsoever,
Yeah.
And those elk were in the worst hellish spots imaginable.
For a
And
reason. Yep.
yeah, and I had the attitude like, oh, I'm fit. I'm just dumb enough to go hike wherever I need to hike. We'll go find an elk. I'd never seen country like that before.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just not an option, man. You're not getting down in that holler. Or if you killed an elk down there, good luck getting it
You
out.
ain't getting him out.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's what everybody's
way.
got to be real about is figuring out,
Absolutely.
hey, if I'm going to go down there after that animal or go up there after that animal, what happens after, I get him down
Yep.
on the ground? Because,
Yeah.
at that time of year, ain't nothing going to spoil, but it'll freeze,
Yeah.
and, you got to do your due diligence of getting that animal out of there. You owe it to him, So it's like Joe
Sure.
said, sometimes it's just not an option to bail off. And I'm telling you, if y'all have listened to our podcast at all, I've been in some areas where we shouldn't have bailed off. We shouldn't have done what we did, right? And you learn really quick that mountain's unforgiving. The weather, the elements are unforgiving. The elk are unforgiving, man. I will tell you though, as I progressed as an archery hunter hunting with Joe and the crew, there was never a year that I could have archery hunted and had a smoke pole with me that I wouldn't have killed every elk that I saw, right? Bow hunting has such a tough finish rate, right? And it's because every element there is working against you. Wind, brush, cover, you being able to thread that needle, being able to put it in the right spot, everything you learn about bow hunting will run out the crack of your butt when you got a daggum 1,000-pound animal. I mean, breathing fire at you, brother, running in there like Genghis Khan, and he's got other bulls around and cows. It's an experience that you can train for, but you ain't never going to be ready for until it just jumps on you. I mean, it's
sometimes you just get caught up looking, man. You're just like watching the game,
Joe and I have been together and called bulls in. We've been together and called bulls in. Got him in the range, and I'm looking at him like, "Hey man, why ain't you killing this bull?" And he's looking at me like, "Hey man, why ain't you killing this bull?" Well, we got cameras and we're recording and everything. I mean, we get lost in the moment too. At the end of the day, that's what we love about archery hunting is we get to call the bulls. I don't know if you guys do any whitetail hunting where you rattle and stuff like that. I mean, it's a very exciting time to be in the woods calling bull elk.
There's nothing
but
like,
I told Joe this year,
it's nothing like going into their territory and speaking their language and beating them. I mean, you're talking about, I consider the most majestic animal there is, right? And to be able, and they're survivors, man. They are so big, they're so strong, and they're out there, and their whole life is about surviving. It's about preparing for survival. It's about, not wanting to waste energy, even though that they need to breed. And they're going to lose, man, they're going to start off at like 700 pounds and they're going to go down to 500 pounds, right? And they're going to lose so much of their body weight. And they got to think about that survival of getting through the winter. And, they absolutely have that need to breed, and then once they're done with that, they don't want nothing to do with that. They just got to get through. They got to eat. They got to find a hole. They got to survive, and they got to get through another year. And to be able
stay
to
away from the wolves and the mountain lions and the grizzly bears, and
to communicate with them and convince them that you're one of them, and to beat them at their game is
the ultimate.
There's nothing like it. Absolutely nothing. I mean,
Absolutely.
turkey. I mean, if turkey weighed friggin' 900 pounds, I might throw it in there, right? Because I love the turkey hunt and the calling and all that part. But and if turkey could smell, you'd never kill one.
You would never kill one. That's right. They're amazing critters. And for us, I guided this year rifle hunting, and I told Joe, I said, I think I could like that. I mean, we don't have to get 60, 70, 80 yards from them to get a shot off. Man, I could peel one off at 350, 400. I mean, it's a walk in the park for today's rifles, right? And most guys, I say that tongue in cheek. We had guys come in camp, and we had one guy that was really proficient with his rifle and could shoot it out to 650, no problem, right? The rest of them guys, oh my God, dude. It took a half a day to sight in all the rifles, and get them to where they could hit something at 100 yards. They get there and go, man, I don't know what happened to my rifle.
I think that's something with everybody. I don't care I don't care who you are, what weapon you use. I think a big part of it is people getting behind their weapon and really being intimate with it.
Putting time.
I think it's easier, even like when you take an instinctive archer, they got to shoot a whole lot more than somebody that shoots pins, because once they're locked in, they're pretty much locked in. They just got to kind of stay in strength and shooting form and stuff like that. And then once you get to the rifle, a lot of these guys know once they're sighted in, they think, oh, I'm good to go. And, they don't consider something getting bumped or changing elevation or nerves. I mean, when you're, when you're at the range and you're a rock star sitting on a brace and stuff like that, when you're clamped in, and you're shooting off a sled, you're a heck of a rock star. But you get out there now, you try to go offhand, or you try to set up on the side of a tree, or you try to put it up on your knee, and you're nervous and you're breathing hard because you're in oxygen you've never been in before in your life, man. And then, you've just had to get up the hill and somebody saying, man, we got to go, we got to get at it, we got to get it, got to get the shot. Man, your heart rate's racing, that friggin' crosshairs are bouncing up and down, or you forgot to even dial yourself down and you're up at, 12 or something like that. I mean, there's all of these things that happen, man, that change things, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good point. And I feel like as a whole, bow hunters, archery hunters are better at practicing with that equipment year round. I feel like as a
Have
whole,
to.
they're better. Here on the East Coast, and I'm sure it's a nationwide epidemic, but Perry and I will see guys, hey, go shoot 5 rounds in August. Oh, I'm good to hook for deer season. Good to go. Hit a dinner plate at 100 yards or whatever. Good to go. But you don't have that intimate, familiar knowledge for the scenarios, for the, I still get jacked up when I look at a doe through the scope or with my bow in my
Sure.
hand. And that's not happening at the range. And if you're not practicing and putting in the time, especially like now, right, when it's not season, now's the time you should be doing that and honing your skills, right? Like you said, Gilbert, we owe it to the animal
We
um,
do.
to be the best that we
We do.
can when it's game time.
And being here in
Totally.
Texas where we're at, we have a distinct advantage, man. We hunt year round. I mean, literally,
Right.
this weekend I'll be with some guys that are going to be hog hunting. So, I mean, um, we chase critters year round with our bows. So we stay pretty sharp, In a couple of weeks, we'll have the mafia and everybody in camp, and we'll have our year hunt that we do, and it'll be fun, man. And everybody will be chasing hogs with their bows. I get enough of that. So a lot of these guys like to eat that meat and everything. So I bring the smoke pole, bro. Like I said, there's times for hunting hogs and there's time for killing hogs. So
Yeah, come on.
at the end of the day, I shoot them from 200 yards in their eyeball,
Yeah.
So we ain't got to go chase them through the brush and the brambles, and so I make it challenging for myself at that level too.
But he
right?
just brought up, Gil just brought up a great point that one of the reasons we do the things that we do, and actually the type of client that I want, and don't get me wrong, I'm a killer, right? When I go bow hunt, I plan on finishing.
Yes.
And that's how I
Yeah.
feel about
He's
it.
a stone cold killer.
When he says that, that there's a time for hunting hogs and there's a time for killing hogs, right? Is that sometimes we get in a mode when it's just all about the kill. And for me and the type of people I want to be out, and the experience that I want them to learn, as far as the intimacy that there is not only with the animal but with the environment that there is out there, I am about the hunt. Now, if you talk to any of my bros, man, if I don't kill something, I'm pissed, right, at myself, because I
he ain't happy.
expect that from myself, man. I mean, I go
Better
out
not be a
and I
dog in
hunt.
camp. We're kicking him.
I hunt hungry. I mean, I hunt hungry. Like, I got to put food on the table. And it's just, that's an expectation I have of myself. But a lot of people are like, well, does that mean it's just you got to kill something to enjoy it? Oh, no. I enjoy every part of the hunt, man, but I didn't accomplish my goal, and I'm a huge goal. You're a coach, you're an AD,
Yep.
man. I've been a coach my whole life. I've been a competitor, and when I set a goal for myself, there's all kinds of winnings and successes on that journey to that goal, but I expect to achieve that goal. So, yeah, that's one thing. When I hear Gil say that, it really makes me define sometimes, like, the type of people. Do I want people that want to be with me that are about the hunt, that are just about the kill? And I honestly enjoy so much better when I'm with somebody that's about the hunt, right?
Well, Joe, you mentioned your coaching there. So, I mean, what was as you've gone from that transition from just, being so focused on, like you said, the kill, but then as you guys have branched into this coaching aspect, what was that transition like? And I mean, what was the motivation behind that, and what's that journey looked like for you guys, especially in,
It's a great question,
hunters,
Perry.
we as hunters, we go through transitions, inevitably. I mean, when you're young, you just kind of have that bloodlust, right? And then
Yep.
Right.
you get older and you have experiences and you want to share it with others. So, I mean, what did that look like for you guys in terms of that coaching?
Well, I think for me, it's been because if it's me personally, it's different than I'm with somebody else, because, it's
Right.
just the same way. Like, if I'm playing on the ball court, there ain't no friends on the floor, right? But if I'm coaching and I want people to have a skill set and be successful, and I want to help them with their shortcomings, I want to flatten their learning curve. And at the same time, I want them to understand things about the game that are bigger than the game. The dedication, the motivation, the work ethic, the loyalty, the tradition, all of those things that, the hunt, the game, all of that is just really an interface for teaching people about life. If I can help people be successful in the woods and understand, and look, what I love about hunting, just like I love about some sports, and it's getting harder these days because everybody wants a trophy, is that, there is no enabling when you're out there in the mountains. That elk don't care if you succeed or not. He's hoping you don't succeed, man. And that mountain is not forgiving. You have to go out there and you have to get it done. And there are no excuses. Now, you can come home and make excuses all you want, but the reality is you didn't accomplish something. And to answer your question, Perry, that transition was really about, I'm still just as ferocious on myself, right? But, when I have Chav with me or when I have Gil with me and I see these guys, like I was there for, Gil's first kill, and
front row seat
to see this man that has been with me, I don't know, at that point in time, like, was it third year,
5
Gil,
years.
that you,
5 years? Yeah, third or fourth year, third year, I guess.
And
hunting with you.
Yeah, and it to see when he saw that animal, the tears in his eyes, the joy, the hugs that he gave to me and everybody else. I mean, the absolute, reality of the joy that he had, how he cherished that moment. That's payoff, and to me, it's actually bigger than any kill. Like when I actually am killing an animal, I'm almost very businesslike about it because, like I said, I hunt hungry. I hunt to put food on the table, and that's an expectation. And when I get in that red zone and get it, my mind is absolutely focused and zeroed in. But when I get to see other people do something like that and get to see those moments and to see what it really means to them in their heart, it's a whole different type of joy, man. I mean, I'm so much happier when Chav kills one. I'm so much happier when I'm with somebody. When Adam Messner, this was a guy that I throw him out. He's one of our first guys for one of our coached hunts. And this guy actually went through all of our coaching and teaching that we do online, and then our coursework and back and forth with videos and conversations and texts. And he goes out, comes from California. This guy had already been on 4 or 5 guided, outfitted hunts and has never killed an elk with the bow. Goes through our process, goes out on his own. On day 1, calls in a bull and kills a bull on day 1 at 11.5 after coming from, after coming from sea level. And I get a phone call from this guy, up there on the top, and he is just beaming, man. And then I get a phone call from him a little while later,
he's
like, he's about to die, man. He's like, Joe, it's dark, it's cold. I've managed to get one of these quarters back to camp. He says, my head is about to explode. I'm honestly really, really scared and worried right now. I mean, he was getting that altitude sickness, and this guy's an athlete. This dude is
this guy
like
swam at Stanford, crazy athlete.
And he's like, I'm really scared. I need to take care of this animal. So right there, when he said he had all this fear, he was feeling this bad, but he was more concerned about taking care of the meat of the animal, I knew we had already succeeded in teaching him about the honor of the animal, which was huge. And basically, I had to tell him, dude, listen to me. It's going to be 30 degrees tonight. You've got the quarters off. Get them over on the side. Get them hung. I want you getting back to your camp, leaving the meat. I want you drinking. I want you eating. Get in the sleeping bag. Go to sleep. I'll be there at daylight. And I had to grabbed some help, and we had to hike in. I don't know, it was probably 3.5 miles from, probably 8,000 to 11,500 to get up there. But we got up there by daylight, helped them get it out. But when you see these guys, and when you saw Adam and how he felt about this and the joy that was with that, and I wasn't even with him when it happened, it was after the fact, I couldn't have been more proud and more happy. And it was so fulfilling that now as a coach, and Gil will be able to tell you, and any of our coaches, when we're with these people and we're seeing those light bulbs come on and them, trying to get them through their struggles. And because we're not guiding, dude, we are coaching, so they're going to make mistakes. Every one of our guys last year, all 4 of them, I think, were in killing opportunities, but it's those freshman mistakes, like when you have a freshman athlete, right? They make some of those mistakes, but we help them to get in those situations, learn from those, and to move on from them. So the transition really, I think, happened for me, Perry, as a guide, man, because, Gil was one of my clients before he was ever my friend. And, Manano and Luis were clients of mine before they ever became bros. And, these are guys that when they were with me, I've never been a point and shoot type guide. I've always tried to share with people the passion, talk to them about what I'm doing, why I'm doing, how I'm doing, and then try to actually encourage them to do it. And in doing that, they were like, Joe, man, you need to do something with this. And really, the moment that they said that and started getting that turning in my head, that's when Elk Bros started to become born, right? Gotcha. So that transition actually came when my clients became my friends who became my partners and hunting buddies, right? That was the transition.
Yeah, and for me, Perry, I always want to work with a hunter and find out where, you just talked about it, find out where that hunter is in his career. We got blood in our eye, or we trophy hunt. I want to find out what that guy's got going on. And Joe will tell you, I drove him nuts for 3 years, hunting with him and RC and the guys that were in Carl's group. I drove them nuts because I knew what I wanted. It's right here, right? I wanted a nice 6x6 bull that, was a Pope and Young type bull. That's what I wanted. And they called in several raghorns and spikes, and I passed. Finally, Joe goes, dude, you got to quit this passing thing, dude. You got,
and I'm like, not man, just raghorns and spikes. Some of them were, there were some nice bulls too.
Yeah, decent 5x5. I'm like, And they're like, what? Dude? That's where I was in my career, right, hunting wise. It wasn't necessarily the challenge about what I learned on my first elk hunt to where I am today. Dude, if that sucker's brown, it's getting it. I don't care. Cow, calf, I won't shoot a calf, but a cow, spike, any legal bull, he's getting it, dude. Because it is so freaking hard to get one of them to where you can do that. You don't really understand it till you kill your first one. And when you kill your first one, it gets easier, right? You learn how to finish. You learn how to get them in. But again, when we're guiding or coaching, in our coaching, we have to have that conversation and quantify, hey guys, where are y'all at? Because that guy may not be in where I am as a hunter, right? He, right. Tom Roth we had a couple years ago, he wanted to kill a big 6x6 bull. And I called this big old burly spike in for him at 3 times. And I said, Tom, you're not going to get an easier time to kill an elk right here. I said, he said, you think I ought to kill him? I said, I'd smoke him if he comes in here again. And we called him in there, and he absolutely did his job. And if you talk to him today, he'd been on 3 or 4 multi-$1,000 elk hunts in other places of the world. And, he'd eat tag soup every time, right? And him walking away from that, I promise you, has made him a much better, much more confident elk hunter. But you're working with guys that they may not be in Tom's, in Tom's realm. Whatever. So it's our job as coaches to find out where they're at in their hunting career, and then for us to hone that and use that to our advantage to try and manage expectations for them. Because what we do is extremely hard, fellas. And I won't say rifle hunting's not hard, because I had the same thing go on this year. Called several bulls in for one of our clients, and man, it just didn't trip his trigger. But I tell everybody, don't pass a bull the first day. You'd shoot on the last day. That's kind of Big O's mantra, right? And, when you do, man, it can bite you at the end, So, go ahead, Joe.
So let me tell you though, dude. I mean, this guy talks a big game about his brown is down, right, and everything, all that. We have been shoulder to shoulder and had a bull in at 40 yards, and I'm like, shoot him. He's like, no, dude, you shoot him, And I call a bull in for him, and we call him the Pennsylvania cat killer, Brandon. And this bull comes in and is 35 yards to Gil right there. Brandon's over on the side. And I mean, Gil has him dead to rights, and he does not. And this is a nice bull, man. And he doesn't shoot
really
this
nice
thing.
6x6. Big Pope young bull.
Yeah, so much for that. It doesn't always run like that.
Okay,
man.
Joe.
Let me tell you.
Okay, Joe. I was acquiescing to my brother Brendan, who has not ever killed a bull, and after he blew it up, I did get to draw on that bull, and I had something that plagues archers all the time. We had a peep that turned where I couldn't see through my peep, and at 35 yards, it taught me to learn how to shoot without that peep at 35 yards, right? So that was something I came back to camp that evening, and I worked really hard on, and now if I don't have the peep, I know what I got to do, But I killed that bull. When he walked in there, if I'm at full draw, which I would have been, I mean, I shoot him at 35 yards, dead as a hammer, broadside. But I'm looking over there at Brendan like, man, what are we doing, man? I mean, this bull is ready to rock. And he's got his rangefinder up looking at him. I'm like,
it's right there.
He's done. It's over. I mean, you can't move after that. Bull's locked right on you, I'm like, dude, you got to draw. So you got to figure out. And as soon as he moved, it blew it all up, right? So, yeah.
Lesson for you guys, man. When you're... I'm sorry, there's a little bit of a delay here, so sometimes we kind of go over top. I'm not sure, but so it's a lesson for you guys, man. When you're out there with that rifle and you're hunting out there, don't be checking out that animal in your binos. Be checking them out in your scope. All right,
that's it, dude. That's a really good lesson. For me, what I learned there so much was you got to learn how to get past using that peep, at 35 yards, what's that going to look like after that, right? And then, it was a huge teaching moment for all of us in the set. We were all had elk all over us, but the archery aspect of elk hunting is tremendously difficult, right? I will tell you that. People that have never harvested a bull and have hunted many years, they know exactly what I'm saying. And I know some really good archers that have, it's escaped them. It escaped me I shot a bull my first year hunting and we never recovered him. They recovered him about 6 weeks later, and he hangs in one of our outfitters' lodges, but he's not here. I didn't put my hands on him. So they found him later, got one lung, and, he passed away later. But I mean, at the end of the day, for me, it was about walking up and putting my hands on this bull right here. And I've killed a lot of bulls since then. And like Joe said, it don't matter what it is. It really doesn't. But I just seem to get around some bigger ones sometimes, and that happens. When you're calling, I can't make the bigger ones or the smaller ones come around. They just do. And when you're with Joe, it's a conversation you got to have, because Joe want me to shoot all the time. I'm like, Joe, if bull goes left, your shot. Bull goes right, my shot. But Joe just say, run down there and kill that bull. Right? I mean, that's the kind of stuff you get out of Joe. That's the coaching you get, right? Run down there and kill that bull right now. Right? So you run down there and go do your job, man. I mean, you don't want to disappoint your coach, right? So, I mean, everybody that elk hunts archery-wise should have a Joe Jillia in their pocket, man. Because this guy is the baddest man on the planet, dude. I'm serious. The baddest man I've ever hunted with on the planet, calling elk and understanding the habitat, right? So damn. I've been very fortunate, fellas. God blessed me with a relationship with this team and this crew. And, man, we love to hunt elk. We love to call elk, right? It's our passion. It's what we do. We love to teach how to do it, right? I mean, y'all probably spent what, $5,000-$6,000 traveling out west and then coming home. I mean, all in, maybe okay, 3,500 to 5,000, something like that. It's expensive, fellas, right? So to get some training before you get out there and understand the critter and the habitat a little bit better, we think that we give people a leg up. Even, we have an online academy and stuff like that. It's second to none. Just give people a little bit of, a few more bullets in their gun before they get out there.
Yeah, I can tell, your background, Joe, very easily. Unsurprising that you're a former educator and coach based on just the last 40 minutes and Elk Bros as a whole, man. Your teaching philosophy is so apparent and it's so passionate. And I think that's a massive advantage for what you bring to the table, because in the classroom, right, I don't care. I tell parents this on curriculum night. I don't care if at the end of the year students can't list the causes of World War One or like whatever knowledge or recall based information that is. I care about the higher order thinking. And that's what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. Go through Elk Academy, a couple more bullets in your gun, like Gil was just saying, man. But what you said is so important. And I think I want everybody to hear this. I'm going to tell everybody who will listen to me after this, but where you see success is that guy who took your course, who then can call you when he's successful and he's in the game by himself without you. Yeah, that's exactly the ultimate success right there. That's where the passion and the story and the prior education, that's where it all comes together. And that's the name of the game, right? What better goal is there in life? That's the critical thinking. That's the application. That's where it all comes together. What you're building here, you want them to go be successful without you, right? Like that's the goal.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's
there's not
exactly
a week
what we're working for.
There's not a week that goes by that I don't get a call from one of my players. I've been coaching in the women's fast pitch travel ball scene for the last 17 years, right? We get girls to college. That's what we do. And there's not a week goes by I don't get 2 or 3 of them send me a picture from their first at bat or their first home run or their first strikeout. Just got one today from a girl that got her first strikeout last night at Colorado School of Mines. I mean, so yeah, what you've imparted in them and they leave you and they never depart from it is an amazing thing. I mean, it doesn't matter what it may be, faith, sports, whatever it may be, if they carry that stuff on, man, fellas, that's a big deal, right? And I think that's what, as humans, we're here to push that and involve our youth in all the aspects of what we're passionate about, right? Whether it be your faith, whether it be your sport, whether it be hunting, fishing, whatever it may be. Hopefully you perpetuate that in a positive manner where everybody can learn from it.
Oh, well, a lot of people are always like, man, you guys are, you're giving people all this knowledge for free and they're not going through it and everything. I would rather help somebody understand the etiquette, all the unwritten rules, how to honor the animal, to understand actually what they're doing so that they're not blowing things up for themselves and for others out there.
Yep.
When people understand the concepts of what they need to do when they're out there in the hunt, just take the wind and the thermals alone. When they understand something like that, then they're not doing things that blow it up for other people as well. They're trying to do things in a better fashion, doing it a little bit smarter. When they see other people, how to react to that, other people hunting out in public land, the friendships that can be made during that. And if you actually face things like that in the right way instead of acting like somebody's encroached on you or something like that. There's all of these things that we can teach people that is that higher level, but it's also something that is going to make that enjoyment better for them and better for people around them, and it's going to enrich that experience instead of if you go through YouTube elk hunting, then it's all about you're in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, you can watch, 10 or 15 different bulls being killed, right? You're watching this end result, end result, end result. People are not actually seeing any of the journey along the way, so they don't really learn to appreciate. All they see is it's about the end result, end result, end result. Now, you're talking to somebody who that end result is important to me. That's a goal of mine. But it's not all about that. I understand the grind. I understand that I can be hunting 10 days for 30 seconds of what's going to be an opportunity at success,
Right.
and how many times is that for all of us in life, man, that we're out there and we are busting it and learning. I mean, we're trying to learn all we can. We're putting up with what everybody's throwing at us. We're just grinding every day to be able to have that opportunity or break and be able to take advantage of it, right? So, I think this immediate satisfaction thing is a problem. And it's something that I try to teach to. I try to teach it for people in their everyday life. And elk hunting is actually a mode for doing that. I taught it in track and field. I taught it in basketball. I mean, how many hours did you
Delayed
put in
gratification.
to be able to have that one ball go through the hole in an actual game and get that gratification, right? So you just got to understand all of that goes into it. And once you do, it makes you so much better of a person, worker, husband, hunter, all of those aspects, right?
Yeah.
Well, and it's so critical too. What you just touched on there is so critical to pass along to that next generation, and to make sure that we're being intentional with the community of hunters, especially new hunters, but even hunters that have experience. Because the reality is that we in the hunting community, and we as hunters, we have forever and will continue to get a lot of pressure from the outside, from people that don't understand hunting. They just think it's all about that end result, right? And they just think it's all about that kill, and we're just guys out there that like to kill stuff. Yeah, exactly. But they don't. There's not an understanding of those hours of preparation, all the dedication, the lifetime of experiential knowledge, the etiquette, the respect that we have for these animals. Yeah, exactly. And so, that making sure that is part of the process, and this this coaching journey that you guys are talking about. I think it can't be emphasized enough how critical that is.
No, Joe and I, we encounter a lot of people in the woods in our journey, because we hunt public land, and so, I mean, we've called in several people, been called in before, right? But when you get an opportunity to meet a man and his son who's out in the outdoors, it warms your heart, man. And if you take offense to that guy wrecked your set or something like that, look at that little boy, that 9 or 10-year-old boy that's on his dad's hip, that's in there, that, he wants to see a bull elk too, right? He wants to be with dad, and the most important thing is spending time with dad, not the end result. So who are we to ever, get all upset because that guy got in your set or something like that and ruined your hunt? And I mean, I can't tell you how many times Joe and I have run over the top of some people or whatever, and then 300-400 yards, we kill a bull, just because we didn't let all that spin us out, man. We kept our nose down. That bull had obviously heard some calling going on, and he was just late to the party. He might have been a half a mile off. Sometimes they come in, especially we hunt a lot of early season stuff, so they're quiet, and a lot of bulls come in silent. So, we happen to look up, and there's 4 or 5 bulls rolling right at us. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to Joe and I, just quietly slipping through the woods. I call it the Mohican sneaking. I mean, we're putting the Mohican sneaking on all them critters, right? And we're just slipping through the woods and making a few cow sounds and stuff. And before you know it, we got animals on us, But in that aspect too, we got other hunters around us. But we got to learn how to be compassionate towards them in the field as well, right? And all try to learn how to get along. And yeah, there are going to be guys drive through your set. They're going to jump off a buggy and bugle right off the road and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, good on you, fella. I hope you find something. And I hope you have success doing those things, because it's super hard when you do, what do they say? When you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, I mean, we know what works and we know what doesn't. So we're not going to let people spin us out, and we try to do our best to educate everybody we come in contact with, not just like, being rude or coaching or whatever, but everybody that meets us in the woods are like, oh my God, y'all do shoot them arrows. Oh my God, y'all do. We're real, we're just real, two real guys in the woods. Our crew's the same way. And we enjoy meeting people in the woods, and passing on that heritage. Joe will tell you, my kids are, both my son and my daughter have been hunting with me since they were 4 and 5. I mean, actually harvesting animals since they were 4 and 5 years old.
Man.
And from bull elk to you name it, man. And these kids have grown up in a hunting and fishing background. And, I don't have to worry about where they are when they're away from here. They're either in the woods or in school. I mean, they're still in college. Both of them are still in college, but they love to come hunt with Dad. And, I want them perpetuating that on to their children, So you guys are young in the game. Perry, how old are you, brother?
I'm about to turn 35 here in just a couple of days.
There you go. So y'all are in the prime of your life, man, in your mid-30s. I mean, Carter's a little younger than that, but I'm sure y'all got young kids. If you don't, that's in the future. At the end of the day, man, y'all keep pushing that narrative to them and showing them what it's about and teaching them that, teaching them the respect for the animals. And, we hunt with some guys we call the Venezuelan Mafia, Luis Gonzalez and Manano Graturon. They pray over every animal, man. And I'm telling you, it'll make you cry. Yeah, it'll make you cry. You listen to them, boy. And they pray in Spanish, and it'll still make you cry, even if you don't understand it. You know what I mean? I mean, it is super heartfelt, and they pray over every animal. And I get totally emotional when I'm around a bull elk or a cow elk. It don't matter to me the sex. It's hard doing what we do, and what you guys embarked on in that journey out west in the dadgum snow blizzard. Whew, that's a tall order.
You guys set yourself up for that's an adventure, man.
It was. And you went after the Mike Tyson of the elk hunting world. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that dude was not. That's a tough nut to crack in that time of year. So,
what did you think, Perry? What was your Here you are, this guy that comes from, and I mean, you're from the mountains of Carolina, so you know what mountains are, right? And but I think you're at what, 3,000 feet, even in the mountains.
Pretty close.
Yeah, and
Not
so
10.
when you come out here now, you're at 10. Yeah, and it's a whole different kind of cold. It's a whole different kind of snow, and the storms are vicious. So tell me, what was the experience like for you?
So I actually wasn't on that hunt with Carter. That was other guys. I was not able to make it to that one.
Okay.
But I do have one. I'm like Carter. I've got one experience with elk hunting, and I actually didn't even have a tag in my pocket. I went along with my brother. So a couple years ago, my brother drew a tag in Idaho, and it was a late season hunt in Idaho, and it was a muzzleloader hunt. And Idaho has their kind of traditional muzzleloader specifications and requirements. And so it was like Carter said. It was a brand new world. We had an advantage that we had a friend that has a ton of experience like you guys elk hunting. He's been doing it his whole life, and he went with us, and being able to, very similar to this coaching program that you guys are doing and that you guys are describing, he was able to take a lifetime of experience and show us as absolute Eastern, boy novices, a little bit of what this looks like. And but it was similar. It was cold. It was snowy. I think we were at not quite as high as Carter was, probably like 9,500 elevation.
Don't matter.
It doesn't.
You get about 6,000 feet, buddy, and there ain't no air.
No air, and we're trudging through the snow, and at that point the elk hadn't all quite made it down yet. Some of them were kind of on their way to heading to the lower elevations, but there were still a good number of elk that were up high. And they weren't, they're obviously quiet that time of year. We actually did hear a couple of bugles, oddly enough, but it wasn't it wasn't like you can call them in September, And so the strategy was literally just get up to where the elk are. You start the day at the trailhead, you get as high as you can, you find the elk, and then you try to beat them to the next ridge where they're going to feed or to where they're going to go bed
headed
midday.
To a destination. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was man, it was a grind. It was I've spent.
I love that word.
It was. I mean, I've spent a lifetime backpacking, camping. You know, I'm no stranger to physical activity.
Sure.
And it was one of the most, if not the most physically demanding things that I've done, just in terms of the amount of steps that we put in, the conditions, the altitude, the weather. It was absolutely unbelievable. And, you know, like Carter said, it just makes me want to, man, archery elk is an absolute dream for me. So we got to make it happen.
You guys ever see the movie A League of Their Own?
Oh yeah.
When he tells the girls, it's hard, but the hard's what makes it great. You know.
Yeah.
I can only tell you that it's hard, but it's the hard that makes it great. You know. It's extremely difficult. You were look, Idaho's super challenging, man. You're talking about,
and you know it has to be hard, man, because and that's the whole reason that archers are given the rut season, because could you imagine if that was just all rifle? The resource would be gone before. So the whole scientific game management bases what weapons we use when and how we use them to help preserve and promote that herd to being, getting strong and staying stronger and keeping that resource. That's one reason a lot of places, like here in New Mexico, there is no December rifle season for elk, because if it is, it's going to be very, very limited, because that's the actual best time to get a big bull. That's when they have to be feeding. They're out in the open the most. But yet, when you take a look at those November, you take a look at that late October and that early November, those dudes have gone and buried in those holes where they're recovering and making it extremely difficult to find them and get them. So that, when you take a look at that, that's going to lower that success rate somewhat for those people with rifles. So it's all part of that management system. And yeah, it is what it is because of the weapons that we use and the whole process of ensuring that, we have the opportunity to do it, but at the same time, we're doing it in a way so that we're also preserving our herds, right? So,
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
With the introduction of other predators and stuff like that in many states, that herd's getting smaller.
Changes things.
So it changes the landscape. So we've got to do our level best of, again, I go back to even the states, even the government, even the DNRs, and they know bows are for hunting elk, rifles are for killing elk, right? The Indians found that long ago.
No, I don't believe that.
You like how I segued right into that, Joe?
dude. So I took at one point I was 36 out of 38 years, with the bow. And I didn't have any rifle friends. In fact, most of my rifle buddies couldn't draw tags, man. They were having to wait for years to be able to get out there.
Yeah, so, Joe's had an amazing run. And we all have. Hunting with Joe. We've all done really well with a bow. So, we're gifted. We've been very gifted in places to hunt that are, I won't say a target-rich environment, because sometimes you think is there even an elk on this planet in some of the places
they even exist?
Hunt. Yeah, do they even exist? And the more I've hunted these critters, the more I understand elk are where they are. You can't predict it; they just are where they are. You try to hunt the higher percentage areas, and like Perry said, man, try to catch them in between transition areas. That's really the best way to elk hunt with a rifle. Feeding, watering, transitional areas, stuff like that, man.
Yeah, and they are where they are, but they are there for a reason. That's the one thing 100. That we have going for us, right? They got to eat. They're a slave to their belly. The drinking changes a little bit, but they got to have, they'll go a lot farther for that drink, right? When they do that, they got to breed. They're very social. So if you, and they need security. If you understand those types of things, then it kind of helps you out as to where, and some of those secure places during those rifle seasons are the places you don't want to go. And those critters know that. They have that sense of safety, because most people don't want to dig down in there. And if somebody does come down into those areas, they're going to make so much racket trying to get down in there that it's going to be it's a built-in alarm system for them, right? So you've got to, it's like anything as a coach, man. I have to understand my opponent's weaknesses, play to my strengths, and exploit their weaknesses. And when you can do that, when you understand that at that and have a game plan for that, then it helps you be more successful, right?
Yeah. So
100%.
let me ask you two guys, Carter and Perry, what was the idea, or what prompted y'all to start Lift, Hunt, Eat podcast, right?
It's a great question. So Luke, Perry's cousin, is the founder of the company, and he started this company sewing patches on hats when he was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia here. And that's how I got linked up with him through Instagram. And we started hunting together, and I was like, this is pretty cool, man. And then, Luke was putting together a core group of guys for when he transitions out of the military, which is a really important part of that process, to have a mission and to have like-minded individuals around yourself after leaving what has been your mission for so long. And so we used to say it was 11 dudes in a group chat. 11 of us, kind of like our version of the mafia, right? Our bros across the country. And we got former Special Forces guys and Ranger medics and me and Perry and other cool guys. And then we quickly realized around a campfire at deer camp, like, I bet there's other people out there who believe in this type of community, right? Active, staying fit, lifestyle, spending time in the outdoors. And then the mentorship part of things, sharing that. I didn't start hunting till I was in college. So that's been a really huge push for myself. Something I'm really passionate about, sharing that with new hunters. And so we created our version of the team. We call it the team. And a lot of us had been burned by various pro staffs and brand ambassadorships and field staffs and things like that. You guys are familiar with the outdoor industry, and here's your discount code, go create content for us. And it's very transactional. And so this was our answer to that. We wanted it to be not that. We wanted to build an intentional community where we're pouring back into our members who want to be part of these three words: hunting, lifting, and eating. Turns out there's a lot of people across the United States and Canada who are like, oh, those are the three things I love. Those are the three things I care about. And then stack on top of that, being family oriented and trying to be the best parent you can, and learning new skills and sharing experiences with new people, and always trying to grow. And it turns out there's a lot of people like that. So it started off as an apparel company selling t-shirts and hats, and then we've transitioned into focusing on our team. The community is, that's it. That's the name of the game for everything. It's worth every second. It's worth every late night. It's worth every dollar you put into it. And the community is everything. And I would have never met Perry. I would have never met you guys. But to answer your question about the podcast, we were like, podcast? Like, we don't know what the hell? We're just some hillbillies from Appalachia. How do we figure that out? We put a poll on Instagram and said, do you guys want a Hunt, Lift, Eat podcast? And Luke said, if 15 people say yes, we'll do it. And like 150 people were like, yes. And so Perry got roped into it, and he started the early days of the podcast. And here we are a couple of years later, still trying to figure it out, but just talking to cool people and sharing stories, man, and building those connections. So
awesome, man. I think the more we perpetuate one another and help one another move this community, as we call it, right, the better off we are, and guys like yourself that are young, that are up and comers, that are doing this for the right reasons. I got all day for y'all, right? So anything we can help you with, anything we can help you guys with on the elk hunting side, or any kind of hunting y'all like to do, y'all reach out, because I've got some, we do a lot of deer hunting. We do a lot of, I manage about 30,000 acres of land here in the state of Texas, where guys hog hunt, deer hunt, axe, exotics, nilgai, I mean, you name it, right? We're after it. So we love to hunt, and it doesn't really matter much what it is. We love to be outdoors with our sticks and strings. And don't get me wrong, fellas, I came up with a smoke pole in my hand, so I love to rifle hunt as well. And I relish those times. I'm such a staunch bow hunter that I love to whitetail hunt with my bow. And this year I hung my bow after I killed a really nice whitetail, and it was a lot of fun hunting with my rifle. So, and it ain't easy. It's not, people say, oh, it's so easy. No, it ain't easy. So yeah, I mean, the podcast thing, Joe and I kind of got the bug, a while back, and actually we were talking about doing a Hunt Wars show together. Right. And, I said, hey man, I said, you and I ought to do this. We'll win. We'll go kill it in the elk hunting competition. And before I know it, Joe's got the Hunt Wars guys on the phone, and they're wanting us to come coach in their deal, you know? And I'm like, how crazy is that? I spin an idea to Joe, and Joe runs with it and runs and gets in the middle of this Hunt Wars deal. And we've been coaching with them for the last 3 years. And it's been a way for us to move us forward in some more circles, where our name's gotten out there a little bit more, our philosophy, our mantra, our ethos, whatever you want to call it, it's gotten out there. And we're excited about, where Elk Bros is going. We've moved into the outfitting world. So, I mean, we got country to hunt. So if you guys need tags, y'all need, an opportunity to get out this way.
You're shameless, bro. You're shameless.
At the end of the day, Carter and Perry, they pay me to talk, right? That's my job. I'm a professional salesman, and shutting me down pretty hard. So yeah,
you will have an email from Perry and I before the day's over. So
not a problem, dude. Anything we can do to help, man. I troll a little bit of time on some of these. I say troll. I get on social media and I watch some of these forums and blogs and stuff like that.
Ugly old troll.
Yeah, and guys will say, "Man, I'm looking for someone," and I'm like, "Hey, check us out." I really don't try to hammer on people or anything like that, because we've got a little bit of a following, and guys do that for us. Hey, check Joe and the boys out at Elk Bros. And how did you guys find out about us other than through the community?
So through Armando and Chad.
Gotcha.
But I followed you. I followed you guys on social media for a long time, being in education and being interested in learning about elk hunting. Of course, I started Googling. Your mantra is flatten the curve, right? And so, of course, I found your course. I found your academy very quickly through Google, because I want to.
Have you taken the course?
The curve. No, but I'm going to. I'm after this conversation, guys. I'm not here to pump anybody's tires or blow smoke.
Oh, cool. Joe give you a code to use, man. We'll hook you up.
Well, no joke, and huge kudos to you guys. This has been such a refreshing conversation, and I can't think of a better Friday to spend my morning doing this. I believe I'm a relationship guy. I believe in relationships with people and authenticity, and you've been in the outdoor space long enough to understand that's not always the case, and sometimes it's few and far between. So I just want to say I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I would love to shout out your elk hunting academy for sure.
100%.
I know I want to be cognizant of y'all's time and be respectful of your time. We're rolling up over an hour here, but Joe, would you want to give?
We want the feedback. We want the feedback from y'all. Good, bad, or indifferent, man. If it's bad, please talk to us before we put it out there, right? But at the end of the day, I'm just kidding. We want the feedback for sure. That's how we grow, right. Fellas.
Right.
I look at our number one podcast, and now we're what, Joe, 218, 219, something like that. And number one was a lot more different than what we are today, right? We enjoy talking.
Same.
We enjoy talking about elk hunting, man. And I can go on and on and on, story after story, because that's what we love to do. And we love to get guys around the campfire and crack open a cold one, and you sit here and talk about what we love to do.
And he can tell you the same story 5 times, and it'll sound different every time. So
every time.
He's a master, man.
Joe.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Over there, man.
Right.
That's for sure.
Man.
Man. Carter, I know you were wanting to know if anybody wants to know anything about Elk Bros, man. All you got to do is go to Elk Bros. It's one word, ELKBROS as in Sam.com. We're not the Elk Brothers. Elk Bros is not about being all male. It's not about that. It was really a celebration of, I actually named it, because for the people that I have spent time in camp with that have been my bros, Chav has been he's been my hunting partner, and this will be our 42nd season hunting together. So it's not about being exclusive to males or anything. It was just to honor those people that I have been around and been in camp with. So it's elkbros.com. They can find us on Instagram with Elk Bros, at Elk Bros as well. When you go to there, you can find all kinds of things as far as hunting with us. You can find our academy. But look, y'all, and I'm the worst one at selling our academy, because I tell people, if you listen to our podcast, you get to listen to us do our BS and our camp stuff, and because we enjoy each other's company, and we treat it as if y'all and us are around the campfire, and we enjoy that. We joke, we have some fun, we do some intimate shout outs, and by intimate I don't mean like lovey-dovey stuff. We just want our we want our listeners to know that we appreciate them. We get mailbox answers that we do some giveaway stuff on there, and then we get to our content. But there's actually content in the mailbox right on the front that's huge, man. And I think in a lot of our banter there's a lot of content. So it's a pretty cool show. You can listen to it, pick up all kinds of free nuggets right there. If you're somebody that needs a structure, you want that lethal injection, man, that's going to help you out and get you there quick, get to our academy, take our base camp. It's done totally different than any other type of online course. Look, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, and I've seen a lot of this stuff, and I understand the teaching mode of high schools. And believe it or not, I'm not a proponent of giving people a bunch of knowledge and then trying to test them at the end to see what they held on to. I'm not a proponent of that. I actually do things in the opposite, the way I coach kids to be successful. I try to get them to understand what the final point looks like and prepare for getting to that coming backwards, actually. Just like if you're going to have your basketball team that needs to have a last 2.5 second shot to win the game, well, you've practiced that over and over. They know what it looks like. So I actually start at that point. I start at the point where that animal is where it's most in your control, that last 30 seconds to a minute when it's right in front of you, and how to finish. And then I come backwards so that when you get there, when you're working on something at another level, you've already been there and you know what that looks like. So it's done in a totally different fashion. It's called Base Camp. And, I think right now, the $99 course is there for $75. We have 1% off of it. And if you had to do what you did, Carter, in spending money to go out there, and how many days were you fighting snow?
5.
5 days. 5 days. And you got an inkling of education there in 5 days. So for you to get, and whatever it cost you for that, for you to get a month's worth of education means you'd have to do that 5 days for 6 years to get a month's worth of education. And what I'm doing is giving people 40 years of success-based, not failure-based education. So that's where they can find it. You can find everything on Elk Bros, man.
And when you put us all together, you get a combined over 100 years. Mean, when you put Joe and RC together, you got 150 years right there combined experience. But the mafia's kind of young, but
we still look better than the young guys, man. We're 200
years, man. We're 200.
We still look better, man. We still look better than the young guys, man. So
that elk meat keeps it looking fresh.
That's right. Elk meat in the freezer.
We still elk meat in the freezer, and we still keep killing elk. So we're excited about this year, fellas. We've got some challenges that are ahead of us as well, but the future's so bright. Y'all know the old saying, you got to wear shades, right? But at the end of the day, we can't wait to see what this. We went to Canada last year, fellas. It was amazing. You guys ever get an opportunity to go up there and hunt the northern country? It's the toughest bush you'll ever see in your life. You know, I know y'all hunted some mountain places, but Canada's a different level altogether, man. But beautiful country up there, and the elk live amongst the critters that can really damage their population. I mean, they got big wolves, big grizzly bears. Joe, how many bears we see in 7 days up there?
Well, there was one day I had 7 bears around me, and one day they were black bears. There was no grizz, but we saw 7 bears in one day. So
between the 6 of us, we saw over 50 bears. In 7 days.
Wow.
Oh my God, absolutely. And all of them big old fat bears that sitting out in that agriculture just filling their guts, dude. The problem with that is when you see that kind of population, just think about what they're doing to the elk calves that hit the ground.
Right.
You know,
because
the black bear is the number one killer of them elk calves. You know, even in New Mexico, Colorado. I mean, they really hammer those calves when they hit the ground. So they got to do some things for their resources up there, but it takes a population like, you know, a community like you guys are lifting up right now, you know, from Hunt, Lift, Eat podcast. I mean, you guys got a perfect platform to help everybody. And we appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, we appreciate you guys and definitely appreciate your time. We would love to do this again.
Is that a set of elk antlers behind you back there, Carter?
It is. That's my it keeps me goal oriented. That's my granddad. That's from my granddad. He gave it to me before he passed away. I grew up in Colorado, so I used to live out there in Evergreen and grew up in and around elk. But I was too young, to chase them, and my dad didn't hunt. But my granddad did. He's the one who taught me about the outdoors, and so that keeps me goal oriented there until I have one of my own.
There you go.
You'll make it happen, brother.
Well, guys, I super appreciate your time and appreciate what you guys are doing. You guys got any closing thoughts for us?
No. Could you get me rolling, man? You'd be here another half hour, man. Closing thoughts.
Easy. I mean, I can talk, like I told y'all, I can talk leg off wooden Indian. So y'all call it when you're ready. But, we appreciate what you guys are doing. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to come on the podcast and share with y'all.
Great to meet you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic meeting you guys, and y'all hold it down in Appalachia, man. We'll keep it real out here in the Lone Star State.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to sharing a camp with you guys one day.
Absolutely.
Look forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks. Peace, y'all.